All right, welcome, guys. This is Breakfast with the Brand. Of course, I'm your host, Junior Frederick. I'm joined by Bobby. And in fact, hold on. I think there's somebody in the background. Hold on.
Wow.
Ah, yes. Okay, we were able to do it. What's good, guys? Phenomenal morning.
Phenomenal morning. I thought
Morning.
I thought we lost you in the back there for a while.
I don't know, man. They didn't want me to come in and talk about the brandemic, man.
The brandemic. Tell us.
Yeah, they
What
didn't
is
want me to come.
it?
Listen, guys, there's a shortage of brands. There's a shortage of authenticity. Everywhere I go to the gym, right? Everywhere I go to the gym super early in the morning. And I'm always by myself.
Mm.
I'm always by myself. It doesn't make a difference where I go. It doesn't make a difference what time I go to the gym, man. Like unless I'm there during the cushion hours, like between 3 and 5, maybe. Those are like comfort hours. But early in the morning, late at night, twilight hours, 4 o'clock in the morning. Right now, 5 o'clock where I'm at. No, six. Right, so it's 6 o'clock where I'm at. But look, man, I mean, these are real hours. Like there's a shortage of authenticity. There's a shortage of real personal brands that take care of themselves and do more than is required all the time. Like that's what it is, And I'm actually speaking today, so I'm getting ready to go somewhere. But I wanted to drop in real early and just talk about that with you guys. I tried to link in and make sure I could come in. So, guys, listen, if you're watching this right now, like you are the brand, like you have everything that it takes to be successful, to make $1 million, to make $10 million, to do six figures, to leave your job, to make more money, to be the most phenomenal father, most phenomenal mother that you could possibly ever imagine. You should be the first. And that's not being okay. So, watch this. My mother wasn't a millionaire. My father didn't publish books. My father didn't have his own business. My father wasn't there for a long time. There's so many excuses that you can use not to be successful, not to be the brand. It's Saturday, so you could be asleep. There's so many excuses. You know what the first thing first thing they said when I came to the resort, Bobby, you know what the first thing they said to me was?
What's that?
Are you on vacation?
Mm.
That's the first thing they said when they saw guys, okay, pardon me, right? Change the face of leadership, right? I don't know why when a black man checks into a resort, phenomenal resort, the first thing they think is I'm on vacation. No, I'm working. No, I'm working. And I'm not with the event that's taking place here. Like I'm not with the event taking place here. I'm not with the convention taking place here. I have my own business. My card, my bank card, like the cards I pay with have my own logo, my own business on them. Right? And when people see that, it's like it's a mindset shift. The reason we started this business in the beginning was to create a mindset shift that you are the brand. It's bigger than what you think. It's bigger than what you guys think. You see branded like a leader, coaching like a leader, the breakfast with the brand. You're like, oh yeah, they trying to make money. No, we trying to make a mission. We trying to make a movement. We trying to help you get out of your comfort zone, become more confident, become a leader. Stop taking people's suggestions and advice as your life and create your own. I get upset sometimes. I don't know. I'm in the gym, so maybe I feel some kind of way. How's
Maybe
everybody
maybe
else
maybe
feeling?
you still getting that pump. You still have that
Ah,
pump.
I stay with it. I promise.
Uh,
Mm.
that's amazing to see. So you say it's like 6 a.m. I
Yeah,
was
it's
just thinking
six.
maybe it's just a little too early, you know. Most people they go to the gym, later. I don't know.
I
I
don't
don't know.
know
I,
either,
I do
Junior.
I do pretty, I do early as well. So I've already done my first workout for the day. But I think most people go to the gym a little later. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
what it is.
One
What
When
about
thing,
it's when it's what when it's comfortable and convenient, Bobby. They come when it's
exactly,
comfortable and
exactly.
convenient.
exactly. When it's
It's
comfortable and convenient. Like I felt, I felt a little disrespected this morning because the sun is coming up earlier now, and I
mm,
ran at my normal time. My normal time is 5. I run at 5 a.m. I like to get my run in before the sun comes up because it's something about watching the sky light up, knowing that you've been running almost an hour as the sky brightens, and you don't see anyone out there. This morning, I went out at the same time, but it was already bright, and
yeah.
I saw people out there, and I said to myself,
Woo.
one person, but I see him all the time. So it was so funny. Me and this guy were both Marines or both service members. He was going to the gym. I was running in the neighborhood. And I said to myself, we're seeing each other because we do the same thing every day at the same time. He's not going to see me next time because I'm going to be out there before the sun up.
That's
And
right.
I just thought that was interesting.
That's right. So you got it's a new standard. It's a new standard. You know, we talk about stay ready so you don't have to get ready. It's a new standard. It's a new standard. So yeah, it's inconvenient, especially when I flew in, right? So you know, we doing the 2 workout a day piece, and I flew in, and it's like for me in Eastern Standard, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. Matter of fact, when I came to the gym, it was 3 hours in advance. So I'm in the gym here at 11 o'clock, and my time is 2 o'clock in the morning. But what does that mean for me? No excuses. So what? Great. It's you know what it is, Bobby? It's a great time to be great.
Yeah.
Guys, it's a great time to be great. If you don't have everything going for you, and I'm not gonna be able to stick around, right? So that's why we stretching out the beginning in a minute. I'm not gonna be able to stick around. I'm gonna leave this into the phenomenal hands of Bobby Jackson and Junior Frederick. But let me tell you this: it's a great time to be great. I don't care what you got going against you. Matter of fact, pressure is the only thing that creates diamonds. Real pressure and real fire is the only thing that create diamonds. Like they're not created in comfort zones. They're not created in your comfortability. Diamonds and pearls are created under tons and tons of pressure and extreme fire and heat. That's what creates transformation. So if you under pressure, you're being created. You're being created right now. You're going through something that's phenomenal. It's a great time to be great. When bad things happen in my life, I say this is phenomenal. It's a great time to be great. I'm just being created. You know, there's levels to diamonds, right? There's different clarity levels. And I
Yep.
promise you, there's different clarity levels according to the pressure that you're going through. There's different clarity levels. Go ahead.
What just came to mind while you were talking about the diamonds and the pressure is the word purity. All right, I think. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, we
So
hit.
yeah, purity came to mind, and when you purge something, you put it under fire. So fire, back in the day, fire was used to purge different elements. So if you're trying to separate gold from another element, you put it under fire. You take away the gold. You separate the copper or the brass. So that could be very, very similar to what you're talking about, like putting yourself under that pressure.
That's right.
Um, and that's something that I noticed just this morning after talking to so many people. I noticed that the people that are really going through it. So guys, if you're looking at this right now, you may be going through something right now. Like you're really going through something. Like remember what we said, life keeps life in.
Yeah.
Life keeps life in. In fact, I have a story to tell. Maybe I'll tell it. Maybe I'll tell it while Sean's on the call because he has to leave. All right, I'll tell a quick story, and it has to do with what we spoke about last Saturday when we said that life keeps life in.
Okay.
So, so last week was a really, really interesting week for me. It was just one of those weeks that you can't wait to get done. So first, I caught the flu. Then my son got sick. Right, my son got sick on the Thursday, and I think I told that story already on one of
Yep.
the Breakfast with the Brands. And then on the same Saturday night, Sean, you not believe when we spoke about life is life in Saturday night, it's about 11 p.m. I get a call. Like I had somebody like the horn beeping like at our house. Now I'm almost half asleep. I get a call. Somebody calls me. They told me that your father needs help. Your father's in trouble. I said what?
Mm.
I come up. I wake up and they're like, what happened? They say he's in the middle of the river or something like that. I'm like what? So I put on a yo. Let me tell you something. I put on a shirt. I'm wearing shorts. I have a flip flop, and I'm out. I'm out the house like immediately.
That's right.
And I met my mom. We're driving, okay, and I'm trying to find out what's happening. So we don't know what's going on. There's a lot of rain, right? So one thing about the islands, you either have a lot of sun or you have a lot of rain. There's a lot of rain. It's almost midnight. We're driving to the location. We don't know what's going on. I get there. I see fire trucks. I see ambulance. I don't know what's going on, Sean. And I come there like, where is he? Where is he? Where I'm trying to find him. Nobody don't know where he is. Then we see this light. way in the distance, literally like maybe like 200 meters from where we were, maybe 300 meters. There's this one light way in the distance. So
In the
I
middle of
call
the
him
water. Is it in
the
the
middle
middle?
of the water. So just to give
Okay.
you, like, the islands are a little different from the from where you live, right? From America and those kind of places. So it's picture like a remote location. There's jungle, so there's like a vast sort of like grassland to the left of him, to the right of him. On the left of him, there's like trees and there's like a 15-foot wide river. And then there's water. The water's coming down from a mountain that's like 4 or 5 miles inside. And all of that water is coming down with a lot of pressure. And the van is like suspended like a boat in the center of the road. Yeah. So I call him. I'm like, don't worry, we're gonna get you out. That's the first thing I said. Don't worry, we're gonna get you out. What happened? Are you okay? Do you need anything? Da, da, da. He said no. He said he had to break one of the windows to go on the top of the van because water started coming in. The water was like 4 to 5 feet. So he's standing on the van. It's after midnight, and I'm talking to the fire service, and they told me they cannot go and get him because the water is too deep for the truck that they have, and
Okay.
everybody's just standing there. Literally, everybody just standing there. So what did I take control of the situation?
They're waiting for the leader.
Exactly. I had to take
They're
control of the
waiting for the
situation.
leader.
That's right. I had to take control of the situation. So I pull in three people. I say, who do we know? Who do we know? Who do we know? I call three people. Okay. One guy, I was able to convince him to come. I just happened to know somebody with like a mini crane. Don't ask me how I know people with cranes. I happen to know somebody with a mini crane. I call him. I say, hey
Resourceful.
man. Exactly.
Think.
I say, hey man, I need your help. So he said he's on his way. He was there in 15 minutes. We were able to get there, get him out. Then we had to go back, retrieve the van, tow it all the way to the road. And you know what I find very interesting, Sean? Nobody, like, had I not gotten there, nothing would have gotten done.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. I asked one of the people for a flashlight. The guy says to me that the flashlight is not waterproof. So I said, what does that have to do with anything? He said, what if it falls in the water? I said, bro, I'll buy you a flashlight. Give me the flashlight. He's like, I can't do that. So I have to get somebody else with this huge flashlight to come, right? She just happened to be around. I got the flashlight. We're going to the thing. I'm on the top of the crane. I keep like, let me tell you something, guys.
Bobby, he said he's on top of the crane.
Yeah, we're on top of the crane. We're going to the vehicle. We're able to get him out. We retrieved him. We waited for the water to subside a little bit, and then we went to get the van. So while this is going on, like, guys, let me tell you something. Leadership is so important because let me tell you something. While this is going on, like, number one, just put yourself in my shoes just for a little while. So your dad is in trouble. We're working against time. If rain falls in a short amount of time, the water pushes the vehicle into the river. It washes away. The people that are supposed to be able to help cannot help. I have to close people on coming there after midnight to help me out. Okay. And while I'm doing that, I'm managing the emotional state of my mom. I'm managing the emotional state of my dad, of all of the people there, and literally juggling several things at once. Oh, hold on, I think Sean is back.
Hey, yeah, I'm back. Go
So
ahead. Go
literally,
ahead.
literally, like, so Sean, what I'm saying, what I was telling them is, while I'm there, I'm not only managing the situation, I'm managing the emotional state of every single person there.
That's right.
Because remember, my mom is there, my father's the one in trouble. The fire service people, they're not really doing anything, but I still need them and the ambulance, etc., etc. And of course, the people that need to come, I have to convince them to come. So I'm managing like 10 things at the same time while all this is going on. And let me tell you something. If, like, guys, without the skill of leadership, leadership is not just for business. Leadership is for everything in
Mhm.
your life.
That's right.
Leadership is for everything in your life. And this showed up for me twice last week. One, when I had to deal with the doctor giving my son the wrong medication that was too strong. And then the other one, when my dad was stuck in the middle of a river in a remote location, right? So let me tell you something, like, take whatever we say here, like, just take it seriously because you never know. You never know when you'll need it. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Woo! Come on.
You never know.
Come
You
on.
never know.
Let's
Always stay
go.
ready, guys. Always stay ready.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Bobby, go ahead. Add on to that, man. I'm gonna get this last set in before I go. But go ahead, Bobby. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm ready for you.
I don't even know how to even accent that. That's crazy, but it's expected of the culture. You know, it's a warrior culture. It's a warrior brand, so it's nothing less than the expectation. What came to mind was a message that King Leonidas sent back to an individual. There was a king that had some beef, so to speak, with the Spartan community. He wanted to know what land was available. And he said, "Hey, Leonidas, how much of this belongs to Sparta?" Leonidas responds, "As far as these spears can reach." That, ladies and gentlemen, is a level of leadership that I think is the embodiment of our culture here. What Junior pretty much said, like when life said, "Junior, how far does your leadership? How far? What is outside of your control?" Junior responded, "The power what's in this phone is more powerful than what took the first people to the moon. I can reach, I can reach people." So it's really taking your tools and taking the person. So leadership is a tool. So when Leonidas responded, "As far as these spears can reach," one, you are the brand. Be the person. Be the person that can throw the spear. But two, have a spear to throw. Leadership is a competency. Speaking is a competency. Closing is a competency. Situation awareness is a competency. Emotional intelligence is a competency. All of those are competencies that we work on every day in this culture. So I was not necessarily surprised, but nevertheless impressed. Impressed because it's like, man, that's how you show up as a leader. So I was definitely impressed, but I wasn't surprised by the ability because we train how we fight. And in fact, we train much harder than we fight. So we make the fight look easy.
Very good. Very good. Ooh, man. What can I say to that? Right? It's a great time to be great. It's just a great time to be great. You know, I remember because 2 calls ago, Junior voice was gone. Like he could barely talk. Like I remember that. You know what I mean? So to see this 2 weeks after that, like again, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. You know, they make movies like X-Men, The Avengers, but they make that based on real people. They make that based on real people. Like you have the opportunity to be the superhero in your family. When you hear about, Spider-Man's uncle being killed and there being no paternal figure in the home, a lot of us grew up without our fathers. A lot of us lost our fathers. Everybody, if you lucky enough to live long enough, if life goes the way it's supposed to go, like you're supposed to bury them. They're not supposed to bury you, right? So that's to be expected. That's to be expected. And when the handoff doesn't take place the right way, right? I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say it like that. It's kind of like football. When the pass doesn't happen the right way, when men don't get the leadership passed off to them the right way, they fumble the ball. They fumble the ball. So when you're supposed to step up as a man and you didn't get the leadership passed to you, or you didn't receive it, or there was a technical foul, or something took place where the weather wasn't permitting, you slipped. The ball went in the air. There's so many excuses that can take place for why leadership doesn't exist. There is an attack right now on manhood. There is an attack right now on womanhood. There is an attack on business. There is an attack on profitability. There is an attack on information dissemination. There is an attack on human capabilities. Like there's a lot of things going on that people don't see that's under the curtain, and they just see, you know, us talk about leadership leverage and branded like a leader and coaching like a leader, and they don't have the right idea. Like we are not everybody else in this space. We are not everybody else in this space. I promise you. We operate differently. We think differently. There's a different principle here. There's a different level of morals, values, and principles here. And we want you to be that superhero, right? We want you to be the person that people talk about, because I know they still talking about what Junior did. Right? And we want you to be the first millionaire in your family. We want you to resurrect the spirit of leadership in your family. We want you to be the first person that's able to really own your own opinion and say, spin the globe, and I'm going to put my finger on a spot, and wherever we land, that's where we're taking a vacation. Wherever I choose to live, that's where I'm going to live. Whatever I choose to drive, that's what I'm going to drive. Wherever I choose to go, that's where I'm going to go. That's what I'm going to do. You do not have to be fearful. You were not made in fear. You were fearfully and wonderfully made, as a matter of fact, right? That's what it's, you were fearfully and wonderfully made, but you were not made to be in fear. You were not made to take orders. You were made to disseminate those. It says, go forth and dominate. Go forth and dominate. I'm so glad that you handled that situation the right way, Junior. I'm going to go ahead and get it a couple more sets in, and then I'm going to go deliver my job to the fullest of my ability and then some, right? And I know you guys are going to do the same thing on this call. So, Junior, you can go ahead and take us to the break. Guys, listen, we love you. We want you to be you, be the brand, and stand up stronger and taller than you ever have before. This is Sean Ra'is. This is The Breakfast with the Brand. Let's grow. So when you're young, mommy tells you to play nice. Play nice, Timmy. Let all of the other kids play too. But in business, it's not about playing nice. In business, it's about winning. It's about adding multiple zeros to your revenue. Now, of course, your staff wins. And when you win, other people win. However, when it comes to competition, you absolutely must dominate. You can't play for participation, and you can't play just to get along or just to get by, because business is serious. Business will help you to change the world, or the world will change you. Your people will either win or your people will lose based on your level of leadership, what you're willing to do, what you're willing to sacrifice, and how much you know about dominating. I said Sean Ra'is. I'm proud. I said Sean Ra'is. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Sean, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and you know, game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a zero behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes. When I think of brand you, I think of being your best self, your most authentic. The reason why we were able to crush business, absolutely dominate in business without having the marketing list, without having the email huge list, without having the Facebook ads and the advertising budget, without knowing the algorithm. The reason we were able to do this is because I branded myself. I told my authentic story and I was comfortable in my skin. Why? Because it was that time in the world where everything was shifting. It was 2020, March. So you remember what happened during that time. It was like the world was coming to an end. So you didn't have anything to hold back. So I chose to give everything that I had and be everything that I am. And because I was that, because I branded me, because I was authentic, everything shifted. And people wanted more. And they wanted to know more about me and how they could become more comfortable in their skin. Listen, guys, when you brand you and not what you do, you're gonna add a zero to the world, but you'll also add a zero to your revenue. Let's grow.
All right, guys, so we are back. Of course, this is Breakfast with the Brand. Bobby, this one has been super powerful so far, man. How
Yes.
you feel, brother? How you feel? Talk to us. Let's tell us, And by the way, before we get into that, I want to say that guys, I want to recognize everybody who are putting the comments in the chat. So I see you. So phenomenal morning to you. So I see Daphne, Lawana, Travis, Michelle, and we have a few other people as well. Kwame. So we see you. Keep putting the comments in. Keep sending the hearts. Keep sending the flames. Keep putting the flames in the chat. Talk to us, Bobby. Like I see you over there writing, man. Like, what have you gained so far? Just from the discussion.
Yeah, man. What I saw just listening to you speak was creativity. Creativity. And with it being so many things going on and so many things that could come against your vision, you just have to be creative. You have to be creative. And another thing that I was thinking about this morning after I ran was how big is the vision? How big is the vision? And that's one thing that I'd like to ask the audience today is like, how big is it? Like, what is it? So when you hear Sean talk, there's something there. There's like, this is bigger than branding. This is bigger than leadership. This is bigger than us. This is bigger than me. It's like, this is about us. So one thing that I saw as I was refining my vision this morning, like, man, and I'm sharing this with you guys because I feel like it's a conversation we need to begin talking about. When we said there's an attack on manhood, there's an attack on womanhood, there's an attack on business. Those that know my background know that I started out in finance and economics. My degree plan and career path was economics. Then I decided to pivot into entrepreneurship and concentrate in finance and economics because I realized that we need business just as much as we need economy because businesses drive economy. And what I thought about this morning about my vision was I was like, what would the world look like if our men ran businesses, LLCs, for-profit organizations, and our ladies had the option to run 501c3s, which is a nonprofit organization? And what would the world look like if the family that owned the for-profit organization also owned the nonprofit organization, and the husband was the hunter going out into the business, landscape, and marketplace, bringing back the profits, and then giving them to the wife who's running the nonprofit? And then they put their kids into the nonprofit space so that they can be introduced to running businesses. And then the philanthropic work that needs to take place, the philanthropic work that needs to take place in the community can be done in the community by the people of the community. So when I saw this, I just saw, dare I say, if I can be blunt and bold, I saw our African American men and women rising up differently. I saw us reclaiming our communities, reclaiming our economy and reclaiming our territory. And we did it by training our men to be men and to go forth into the marketplace and dominate. We removed the glass ceiling that so many of our women are running into, because I realized, I thought this through this morning as I was refining my vision. I'm like, what is it? Why am I doing this? I'm like, why do so many women hit the glass ceiling? Again, I'm an economist, so I've studied this. I know the numbers. What the numbers say is that most women aren't willing to do what's required to go to the next level. It's not that they're not as smart. The statistics show that women that do what's required actually go further than men do. The problem is most women want to have kids. They want to. That's a part of their biology. They enjoy that. Most women want to be there for their families. Most women want to love their husbands. They don't want to work 100 hours a week, backbiting, clawing, scruffing over, bolstering their way through just to get to the top, where they have to do something that might not be in their character to do. So they hit a glass ceiling, not that's imposed upon them by other people, but that's self-imposed by their own character. And that's a good thing when your character does not allow you to go further. But the negative side of this is that now they feel marginalized. They feel unseen. They don't feel loved. So my vision is that, what if she could go as far as she wanted to go, nonprofit or for-profit? She says, husband, love of my life, father of my kids, I want to do something and I want to make some money. And he says, what you want to do? We own this. We run this. This is ours. What you want to do? She doesn't have to fill out resumes. She doesn't have to go try to find a job. She doesn't have to go to college for 4, 5, 8 years to get a degree to go do something working for somebody I pause, I digress. She can say, love of my life, father of my kids, man of our community and builder. I'd like to do this. And he says, wonderful. Boom, how much money you need? She said, I'm gonna need like $100,000 to get this done. He say, boom, hey, make a department. My wife's the head of this department. This is entrepreneurship. He's still the entrepreneur, but he's got an entrepreneur. His wife does what she wants to do. And then she says, oh, and by the way, I want to take the proceeds of this and put it into our family-owned nonprofit because the stadium at the kids' school needs to be improved. So they build out a 1-year campaign. They do the work. Once they do the work, they take the profit out of the business, completely legal, put it into the nonprofit, completely legal. The woman runs the nonprofit, hunter-gatherer. She gathers the resources, optimizes the resources, takes it to her kids' school, improves the school, and then has her kids operating in the same nonprofit, seeing the work of hard labor getting to the next level. We got to rebuild our communities, but we first have to rebuild ourselves. And the big part of my vision was this. We're dependent right now in some aspects, at least in the US. The goal is to become independent by reclaiming our own economy. And the moment we reclaim our own economy, we can be what we've always wanted to be. And that's interdependent. We can have an opinion and a seat at the table where big decisions are being made, and then we can create synergy. Because synergy is nothing more than the sum of its parts being more effective than any individual part alone. Right now, the African American community is not adding to the economy what it could, not because we're not smart, not because we're not intelligent, not because we're not capable, but simply because we don't have a seat at the table because we're still in a state of dependency. The moment we get independent, we can become interdependent, which means we have a seat at the table, having real conversations, and we're not marginalized. And it's not about race. It's not about who did what to who. It's about everybody coming together and being powerful, synergized, and effective. So that's what I thought as I wrote and listened.
Wow. Guys, put some flames in the chat for Bobby. Put some flames in the chat for Bobby. Bobby, that is an amazing vision. Absolutely amazing vision. And I have a question for the ladies. Like, how many of you resonate with what Bobby was saying? Just go ahead and put it in the comments. And also for the fellas as well. How many of you resonate with what Bobby's saying? Put a number 1 if you do. And Bobby, so here we go. I see the flames coming in. So shout out to Michelle. I think Michelle had a comment. And by the way, guys, if you have any questions or comments, we will read them. Go ahead and put them in the chat, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. So Michelle says, I would definitely prefer to do that. However, at this time, I have to be the brand because there's only me providing for my family. Right. So Bobby, Bobby's vision at both the husband and the wife, right? So Bobby, I have a question for you. And I find this very interesting. Now, most of you know I'm not from the US. So I always try to understand what exactly is happening on the ground. So I always ask questions. And let me tell you something, I consume so many, different pieces of information from the US. So I'm following everything, Bobby. I'm following elections. Listen, well, let me tell you, I'm following everything that I'm following election, I'm following the student loan thing, I'm following everything that's going on. I'm following the US economy. I'm following everything that's going on in the US because most of the people I work with are from the US. So I need to know like what's going on the ground. So I'm just curious, like for somebody who's from there, who's living there right now, and based on your vision, what would the first step be? So that's a grand vision, right? But what would the first step be? Like, so for somebody like Michelle, for example. So Michelle and everybody on the call, they have their own situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is the first step for somebody that's looking at this right now? What do we do? How do we get started with that?
All right. So the first step is we have to become independent. Independent. And by independent, I don't mean financially independent. I mean personally independent. So our men have to heal, and our women have to heal, and our men have to help the women heal, and the women have to help the men heal. So here's what's going on the ground. On the ground, the black man he feels less than. He feels like he can't provide for his family like he should. His father probably wasn't there. His father was likely incarcerated. His mom worked day and night. So he didn't really get the nurture he needed. And then all of his examples of prosperity are entertainers. So he goes to school and doesn't think that education will serve him because everybody who's living the life he wants to live is doing so with their talent and not with their mind. So the man then grows up feeling as if his mind is worthless and his body is all that is valued by this economy. So then he has this lack of self-worth, so he projects his lack of self-worth onto the woman who's supposed to be trying to love him. But the woman's father wasn't there. So because the woman's father wasn't there, she doesn't really know how to engage with a hurting man. Right. She doesn't really know how to give a man space when he needs it. She doesn't know how to interpret silence, much like a man doesn't know how to communicate pain because of the low emotional intelligence. So what ends up happening is they get together in the heat of the moment and produce children that they cannot raise. So then, because they don't have the mental and emotional stability to raise these kids properly, they end up disbanding, creating broken homes, which perpetuate the reality that we're living in. So the first step is for men to say, I'm hurting, I'm broken, mentally, spiritually, physically, but I'm capable of healing. Like we first have to acknowledge, like, yo, I'm messed up. Like my daddy wasn't here, my mama wasn't here, like my ancestors, I don't know my last name really. Like I don't know who I am, I'm hurt. And the women have to be respected. They have to be like, yo, you've been doing this by yourself for generations now. Like most kids where I'm from, 90s, 80s, 70s, 2000s, they were raised in broken homes by single moms, oftentimes teenage mothers. So there's a level of respect that has to be given to the women, but then there's a level of power that has to be transitioned from the women. Because when a woman takes ownership of things for so long, she begins to identify with it. Now our women have identified with providing. So when a man comes in, or when she gets with a man and her mama was a provider and her mama was a provider and her mama was a provider, and this man says, yo, let me provide, she doesn't understand how to let him fail too. Because as you go through the process of learning to provide, you have to go through the process of learning to hunt. And she knows how to hunt in a way that works. And then the system is designed to help her hunt well. A woman that has a kid by herself is on welfare, this, that, and the third, and she can hunt well. A man doesn't get the same assistance. So she may be feeling like he's an incompetent and unable man because the assistance that she gets, so to speak, naturally, or by the perception of the powers that be, he doesn't get. And because she can't interpret his life and she can't see it through his eyes because she never had a man in the home who felt
Right.
what he's feeling. Like there's so much there. So I'll stop. I'll stop.
Right. Yeah. Not to stop you, Bobby, but I want to make sure that we're unpacking it. And I want to ask a question. Now, I'm just asking from a curious, like a strictly curious, I'm very curious, like, because I'm not on the ground, right? So I can look at it on TV, etc. But it's different for the people that are actually having the experience. So I want to read a comment, and I want you to clarify this comment if possible. So Luana says that's a blanket example. It's not representative of the whole of the African American experience. So she says cautions on the generalization. So Bobby, were you speaking to a specific kind of person or demographic within the African American demographic? Like, can you just specialize? So what she's saying, from what I understand, is that not all African Americans go through the same experience, right? When it comes to that. So can you just clarify on that, if you don't mind?
Okay. So when you look at the African American economy, you cannot find it. You can't find it. When you look at the Asian economy in America, you can find it. When you look at the Jewish economy in America, you can find it. When you look at the Caucasian economy in America, you can find it. When you look at the synergized African American economy, you can't find it. So what I'm saying is not necessarily to generalize too broadly, saying that everybody is experiencing this, but to say that as a people, we have not come together enough to establish an economy. And I think that the reason for this is because not enough of us are working together. So she's 100% right. Like, it's not everybody, but it's not enough either to say that we can even be identified in the American. You can see where our money's going, but you can't see where it's growing. I'll say that again. You can see where it's going. You know that we create a large percentage of the beauty industry's money because we're buying all this stuff, but you cannot find where that money's being recirculated within our communities. You see where it's going, but you don't see where it's growing. So that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Guys, we're about to go to a short break, but before we do, in fact, as the break is going on, go ahead, put your comments in the chat. We are reading, we are watching. We'll be back in a minute. Stay tuned. This is Breakfast with the Brand.
When I think of brand you, I think of being your best self, your most authentic. The reason why we were able to crush business, absolutely dominate in business without having the marketing list, without having the email huge list, without having the Facebook ads and the advertising budget, without knowing the algorithm. The reason we were able to do this is because I branded myself. I told my authentic story and I was comfortable in my skin. Why? Because it was that time in the world where everything was shifting. It was 2020, March. So you remember what happened during that time. It was like the world was coming to an end. So you didn't have anything to hold back. So I chose to give everything that I had and be everything that I am. And because I was that, because I branded me, because I was authentic, everything shifted. And people wanted more. And they wanted to know more about me and how they could become more comfortable in their skin. Listen, guys, when you brand you and not what you do, you're gonna add a 0 to the world, but you'll also add a 0 to your revenue. Let's grow. It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just a very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle.
All right, guys, so we are back. Of course, this is Breakfast with the Brand. Put it in the chat. What is the number one thing that you've learned today? What is the number one thing that you've gathered? Or, just any inspiration, any thought? Did we evoke any inspiration or thought within you? Did we get you to see things in a different way? Go ahead, let us know. So, Bobby, we got on, we talked about leadership. We talked about people not being in the gym. We've spoken about the African American economy. We've spoken about so many things, man. So what has been your, because you're a producer and also, you're on the show, but what has been your main takeaway for today? What has been your main thing? Because, we're always writing notes. I'm writing notes myself as we go through this. So what has been yours? And then, of course, we'll read some from some of the people that are commenting. So, guys, go ahead, keep putting those comments in. We're going to get to them in a minute. But, Bobby, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. I think I have 3 main points that I took away. One was, it's a brandemic. That hit me. That hit me good. It's like, man, it's so true. So few of us are living authentically. So I think that the lack of authenticity is often a stifling of creativity. Like, I've noticed, for me personally, I'm most creative when I'm most authentic. Like, when I'm thinking an honest, true thought and I create from that space, I usually produce very creative things. So to know that there's a brandemic, an authenticity crisis, lets me know that we're probably stifling our creativity. So I would be surprised at what would be unleashed if more of us, started walking authentically. The other thing that I took away was it was about the mindset. Where is it? It's a mindset shift. Sean was saying, we're trying to help you. Stop taking in everybody's suggestions as facts for how you should live. Like that hit, he was like, what we're doing here is more of a liberation than it is a education, but it is educating you, but it's more so educating you with tools. It's to empower you so that you can think for yourself, do for yourself. And I was like, that is a mindset shift. And yeah, those were my 2 main takeaways.
All right. So for me, I wrote down, while Sean was talking about the brandemic, he was talking about the vision. Something that I wrote down is that the world is in your mind. The world is in your mind. So when you talk about your vision for the world is whatever you think. The world is not the earth. So the earth, we live on the planet Earth. So the earth is the rock, on which we live, but the world is what you see in your mind, your vision. So when we say that the world has changed, it's not that the planet has changed, like the planet Earth has changed per se. It's that the vision and that the general idea of how things operate has changed. So the world has changed many times, but we still exist on the same planet Earth. So the world is in your mind. And when you spoke about your vision, Bobby, I just imagine what would it really look like, right? Can you imagine a world where what you're talking about actually exists? Like that's absolutely amazing. And that vision or that world exists in your mind before you bring it on to the planet Earth. So I wrote down the world is in your mind. And I also wrote down vision has nothing to do with sight. So vision has nothing to do with sight. So vision is in your mind's eye. Vision is in your mind's eye. So when you talk about the vision, as you were describing it, I could see it. I could literally see it. I'm picturing a couple. I don't know why, but that's just me. I'm picturing a couple at a dinner table. They're talking, they're on vacation. When Sean talked about spinning the globe and putting your finger on it and going anywhere that you felt like you wanted to go. I actually saw that, but I saw it in my mind. So vision has nothing to do with, what you physically see. It has to do with what you see in your mind's eye. So those are my two main takeaways. Now I want to read a few comments, before we proceed. By the way, guys, two announcements is, it's Black Friday. So Black Friday sales going on. Listen, if you're interested in getting something for Black Friday, many of you look at us, you want to get a course, you want to learn how to do sales, how to do marketing. If you want to work on your brand, now is the perfect time. You can actually get two courses for the price of one. And if you want to, in fact, let me put my number, I'll put my phone number, a number that you can text in the comments, just in case you're interested. If you're interested in getting that, or you could just go to www.seanrice.com and just fill out the section, the contact us section, and then you could get access to that. So first thing is, if you're interested in building your brand and you have not been able to get started, now is the right time. Like literally now is the right time, because you can literally get two things for the price of one, due to Black Friday. And of course, if you see this little banner right underneath us, we normally do a Zoom call after this call for the people who have more questions. So if you want to ask me a question, you want to ask Bobby a question, you don't necessarily want to ask it to everybody that's looking. You want to keep it a little bit private. We have this Zoom session that we do. It's 100% free of charge. There's no cost associated with it. The only cost is your time. So if you want to get a little bit more advice, whether it's business, marketing, life in general, type that into your browser right there. It should be floating somewhere to the bottom of me. Type that in. We'll be there in about 5 minutes after we end the show. We'll be on Zoom, so we'll catch you there. All right, so let's get into a few of these comments. So I'll read, let's start with this one. So Lawana says, you can discuss economic conditions without looking at the system conditions that are inherent in the very fiber of our country. All right, nice. Michelle says, consumerism with money flowing outside of our communities. Queen Nurse Corella says, I agree with Bobby. Dr. Daphne Clark Hudson says, correct at Mr. Jackson. Kwame says, he stood on what he said. It's important to distinguish. It's not everyone's story, but generally, it's relative from a generational standpoint across regions. Travis, the critic, shout out to Travis. Travis was on the call. He was on Breakfast with the Brand this week, right? Earlier this week, Travis did absolutely amazing. In fact, Travis, we're going to bring you back very, very soon. So look out for Travis. And by the way, if you need anything that's, options related, so if you're into like stock market stuff, if you're looking to trade options, looking to make money with the market, definitely reach out to Travis, the critic. All right, so he says there are more of us out here, but we must acknowledge the majority, and as leaders, be the bridge over the gap. Kwame says, today I was reminded that being a leader means I'm a superhero in my world. Very nice. To be that, I have to know my story and have a clear vision. Let's get one or two more. All right, so Michelle says the beauty is that it exists in reality somewhere already. I like that. I like that. So Michelle is talking about your vision, Bobby. She's saying that it already exists somewhere in reality. And I believe that. I believe that theory. I believe that theory. But so Bobby, since we're rounding down, let's talk a little bit about your experience. Something I love asking you, and I keep asking you this question all the time, is because I've seen your growth. Guys, first time I came across Bobby was about almost 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. and I've seen you grow from, the young man who was, a little bit cocky, sort of leaving the Marines, getting started in business, right? And I've seen you grow into this amazing entrepreneur, amazing speaker, amazing presenter. So I know that that's not easy. And I know that there may be many people who are looking for similar transformations in their life. Maybe they're not looking to be a speaker, maybe they're looking to be a coach, maybe they don't want to be a presenter, maybe they want to do something else. Everybody has their own story, everybody's going for something different. But one thing I know is that it always takes the same elements. So things like confidence, discipline, putting in the work, like whatever you want to do, having a vision, it's all the same material that goes into creating that vision. So for you, what would you say are the top 5 things that have helped you in terms of elements of mindset that have helped you to achieve your transformation in such a short space of time?
Whoa, man, I'll rattle them off as they
I know
come.
it's many, I know it's many, but let's try to boil it down to 5. What would
Yeah,
your 5 be, your top 5?
no, I felt like 5 was a lot. I had one, but
Top
I'll see
one.
if I can do 5. So the first one that comes to mind is faith and, dare I say, religion. I'm not a religious person in the sense that I'm going to find someone that doesn't believe as I believe and beat them with my beliefs. I'm not that type of individual. But I am the type of individual that was raised in faith, was taught tools to live life. So, one of the ways that I was able to get the progress that I got was because I didn't, in my personal, life, abandon God. I know that a lot of people are like, that stuff is nonsensical. Cool, that's on them. I know a lot of people are like, oh, this thing is man wrote this and you shouldn't, use it. I'm like, okay, don't use it then. I will. There's been many times where I was hurting and I said, I gotta carry my cross. There are many times that I felt betrayed by people and was like, Christ was betrayed with a kiss before he came back, 3 days strong. It was many times that I felt like I was being whipped in the back while I was carrying a burden, spit on, laughed at, and kicked over, and I had to make a decision. See, a lot of times we can let our fear of the challenge intimidate the strength of our legs. If you're
Mhm.
carrying your cross, like we can see something and be intimidated by it. And if we don't have a belief system and a set of principles and core beliefs, then when we get kicked over, we stay down. So for me personally, that was one, my faith. My faith never wavered. And I didn't care what the rest of the world did or didn't do. The second thing for me was inner work. I was messed up, like really bad. Molested as a kid, abandoned by my dad, went into the Marine Corps, like all kinds of stuff, homeless before entering, failed kindergarten and second grade, or kindergarten and first grade. People thought I was an idiot, right? But skipped 8th grade. How did that happen? Because he's a genius, but they didn't understand him when he was younger, so to speak. So for me, I had to do the inner work. So one of the definitions that I came upon as I was going through my process was healing is not about undoing everything that's been done to you, but discovering why it had to happen. So I just started taking ownership. It happened. Okay, great, own it. Okay, great, own it. So that was number 2, was just healing. Number 3 would be expanding my responsibility. So a lot of people like to, in my experience, and I'll speak for myself, like I used to like to say that that's not my fault, not my problem. Not my fault, not my problem. And when I would do that, what would happen is things that I could change, I wouldn't, because I would say it's not my problem. When in fact, maybe it's not my problem, but it's affecting me. So I had to learn to take ownership of things that I might not have been the originator of. But the moment I took ownership, I was able to stop allowing it to affect me. So that's number 3. It's just extreme ownership. Mindset. Number 4. Mindset number 4 would be I became I grew calluses, but I didn't become callous. So when you are working out, you get calluses on your hands, you get calluses on certain muscles. But if you become a callous person, then you it defeats the process. Like you want to have calloused hands for your grip, but you might not want to have a callous cheekbone. Like the callus on your face might not be as attractive. So number 4 was doing enough of what sucks to grow the callus, but while growing the callus, not becoming a callous person. So it was a lot of working, grinding without breaking in spirit. And lastly, I would say mindset wise, learning to love my wife. So my daddy left me. My mom wasn't the mother I thought she should have been. I grew up a certain way. And when you marry a woman, it was, I forget the book, I think it was Think and Grow Rich, who said, Napoleon Hill said, one of the greatest hindrances to a man's success is choosing the wrong wife. And a lot of times we don't choose the wrong wife. We have the perfect wife. We just treat her wrong because we don't understand. So a part of my mental development and maturity was really understanding what it meant to be emotional, what it meant to perceive the world through another person's eyes, what it meant to feel pain that you unintentionally inflicted and take ownership for things. So like as my mind began to learn how to love her, I began to learn how to love other people. And that's kind of what expedited my growth.
Wow. I agree with Dr. Daphne. Dr. Daphne says that is deep. She says that is deep. So I definitely agree with that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Bobby. If I had to give my top 5 in terms of mindset, I would say number 1, make no apology, take full responsibility. So make no apology, take full responsibility. So what that means is it may not have been your fault, but it's still your responsibility. Just because something is not your fault doesn't mean it's not your responsibility, right? So that'll be number 1 for me. Number 2, I would say having a vision for the future. A vision for the future will carry you through in the moments where you feel like just giving up. It's actually so funny. One day, Bobby, I always tell this story, the story of the day I quit. How many of you have quit in the past? Put a 1 in the chat if you can resonate, if you've quit before. So I've quit before. I'm like, one day I was doing something about 2 years ago, and it was tough. It was very tough. And I said, you know what? It was a Monday morning. I said, that's it. I'm done. Like I turned off the computer, I put all my stuff away, and I just went to watch TV. I went to look at Netflix, right? Netflix, just chilling, watching some Netflix. And then when the show was over, I got up and I said, okay, well, all right. So what am I gonna do now? Am I gonna do this? Am I gonna do that? And I started working, and then I realized, I said, oh no, hold on, I quit. I said, hold on, I quit. Did I quit? I forgot I quit. I stopped working and I forgot that I quit and I started working. So I like, you know what? It's useless for me trying to quit.
Yeah.
So I just got to work. But what really was driving me was a vision for a brighter future. A vision for a brighter future. Number 3, and I don't know if many people have heard this before, but this is something that I've realized to really keep you in the game, knowing where I am and accepting where I am in the process. So I saw this meme last night. It says, does the process know that we're trusting it? So everybody says, trust the process, right? Does the process know that we're trusting it? Like we're putting our lives in the process's hands. Does the process know? Because sometimes the process is processing, right? So, but knowing where you are in that journey, and I'll share a little bit from what I've learned, reading Ray Dalio and other billionaires, the way things typically happen is that we come up with this new idea. So you come up with a new idea for a business, you get started, you experience some level of growth. You have this part where you're very excited. So maybe you got a website done, maybe you got your first client, whatever it is. So you're very happy, right? But then as time goes by, that success starts to diminish a little bit and it starts to move on the other end of the curve. All of a sudden, you're in a sales slump, maybe 2, 3 months. I can remember being in a sales slump for like 3 months, no sales. You're in a slump, then but you're still hanging in there, right, Bobby? You're saying, this is gonna happen, this is gonna come through, I can make it. And then you realize, hold on, it's been 2, 3, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, I'm not making it. And the process
Yeah.
is processing, right? And you're going down, and all of a sudden you get to this low point where you're like, man, this is a little more involved than I thought. Like I thought this was easier than it is. And what happens is that most people, when they get to that point, is they see the next shiny thing. So, for example, you started a coaching business, you got your first client, you got your first close. Now, 8 weeks have gone by, 9 weeks, 10 weeks, no closes. You get to this point where you can't pay your bills, you're struggling, etc., to grow the business. And then you realize, hold on, this business is not what I thought it was. And then what do? They start a speaking business or they start something else. They start an agency. They start doing something else. They start doing something new. But what happens is that if you do something new, what happens? You go back on the same journey again. So you start something new, you experience the euphoria of something new, you're doing amazing, you're finding success in the new thing, and then all of a sudden you get to that same point where you're heading back down and the new thing, and then you realize, hold on, this is not what I thought it was. And then what do? They start something new. But if you stick with it and you go through that little hurdle, you shoot all the way up, and then you shoot up to a higher level than your previous one. So then your high, your previous high becomes your new low. So for me, and I just want to put it out there, guys, number 3 for me is recognizing where you are on that journey. Because what happens is when we get to that point where we want to give up, if we stick with it and if we overcome that, we normally shoot higher than where we are. So that's like you being stuck at 6 figures and then you get to 7. You've been stuck at 7 and then you get to 8. In business, they call it the valley of death, because that's where all the entrepreneurs live. That's where most. So you say 90% of businesses don't survive. That's where the 90% are, in the valley of death, where they normally don't make it. So that'll be number 3 for me. Number 4 would be the ability to think accurately. So accurate thinking. Accurate thinking is my number 4. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. If you cannot think accurately, and what that means is being able to recognize reality for what it is and not for what you'd like it to be. So you may want reality to reflect that you're doing okay, right? Or maybe you have an ego. Some of us have egos, nothing wrong with that. And then we're like, well, I'm the best, I'm the greatest, this can happen to me. There's a book called, and I want you to read this, Bobby, as your next book. It's called How the Mighty Fall. How the Mighty Fall. And the first step, so there's like 5 stages. The first stage is conceit. So it's like, you're too conceited. How can I fall? I'm this amazing person. How can this happen to me, right? This is not possible. And then you start to distort reality, okay? Start to distort reality, and all of a sudden you're working with the wrong data because you believe that you're better than you are. It's a saying, when you're doing good, don't believe the hype. When you're doing bad, don't believe the hype. So when you're doing good, when you feel like you're doing good, you're not doing as good as you think you're doing. And when you feel like you're doing bad, you're not doing as bad as you think you're doing either. So don't believe the hype. So that'll be my number 4. Accurate thinking, being able to think accurately, see reality for what it is, and take action based on that. And if I had to do a number 5, I would say, that's a tough one. Number 5. There's so many, Bobby. Wow. If I had to pick a number 5, I would say self-leadership. Being able to lead yourself. Because without being able to lead yourself, there's no way that you can lead others. You have to be able to lead yourself. So those 5 things, if you could embrace those 5 things, then you'll be absolutely phenomenal. You have no problems, and you'll be able to get to wherever it is you want to go, especially the accurate thinking. Especially accurate thinking. Accurate thinking allows you to put things in perspective so you can make proper decisions that actually move you forward, not that you think move you forward. With that being said, I want to thank everybody. Bobby, do you have any closing comments before we sign off?
Not at all. Are we putting the link in the chat, or we already gave it to them?
Okay, let's put the link in the comments. Can you type it in the comments, Bobby?
Absolutely. Well,
Guys,
have to
so
do
just
it.
so you know, okay. All right, so just so you know, guys, so the link that's scrolling at the bottom there, we're gonna be on Zoom in about, I'll say about 2 to 3 minutes. We'll be on Zoom. So type that link into your browser. If you have any questions you want to ask me or Bobby about money, finance, vision, business, etc., then that's the place to do it. 100% free of charge. Only cost is your time. So if you're serious about building your brand, then this is an amazing opportunity for you. So type it in. It is brand mentorship that you see at the bottom there right now. So we're gonna put that in. We're gonna close off right now, but we will be putting that into the comments in a minute. So thank you very much, and I'll see you again. This has been Breakfast with the Brand. Thank you.